Welcome back to the neighborhood, boys and girls. Our next guest is Danny Gallagher from Daniel's Plumbing. Welcome to the neighborhood, my man.
Thanks for having me. Awesome. Appreciate it.
I love entrepreneurs. Most of the guests that we have are realtors or title agents, but I've been self-employed since I was 13 years old, probably. I love entrepreneurs, and I didn't really know much about you, but I was reading some stuff on Facebook, and I'm like, that's the guy with the ad with the damn song that I sing in my head, even though I don't want to sing it on 97.5.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, son, that's Daniel from Daniel's. Okay, all right. I put two and two together. So how did that come about? Well,
the ad itself, I mean, I grew up in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. The guys that I was always around were always playing like oldies and doo-wop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was like two different types of, I guess, music that, you know, my buddies' fathers listened to. It was either rock and roll or like Motown. Mm-hmm. So I was always really in the Motown side. Even like in my house. You know? Yeah, all that stuff, man. A lot of guys like Jimmy Beaumont and Little Anthony and all those guys. So like we always had doo-wop on. Whenever they can get 92.1 on, they had Jerry Blavat on and like Bob Pantano and all them. You know what I mean? All these 98 guys. So I had, that's who actually helped me. Bob Pantano, a guy named Bobby B from South Philly. Bobby's like the man with the olive oil voice, you know what I mean? So I was talking to him when we were going over some stuff, and he put some stuff together, and I was like, Bob, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do it to like what I listen to, how I grew up. Because that sound, you know what I mean, it's kind of, I ain't going to say it's a Philadelphia sound, but you know what I mean? We would get out in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. That was the music we heard, minus the Phillies on the radio, so we kept critiquing it, and I kind of found something I liked. Right? Yeah. And the guys were dynamite. I mean, I've met them a couple of times. We did some stuff with them, the singers.
Sure.
And we kept kind of critiquing it until we kind of got it where we wanted it. And we won like Jingle of the Year with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Your exact, you know what I mean, what you hear, and you're like, man, I got this thing caught in my head. That exact result was exactly what we were looking for. The only thing I seen was like the correlation between the song and then people put it together when they see us.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because like directly I was like, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, Daniel's Plumbing, Philadelphia. You know what I mean? So like we get it, and I still get it now, is like guys will see our trucks on the road, like, that's Daniel's Plumbing.
That's Daniel's Plumbing.
You know what I mean? So it was like, it's like they got to kind of...
Now that was your idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if like your mom or somebody else was like, hey,
as far as that doo-wop sound, or advertisement purposes?
No, the doo-wop sound.
Yeah, the doo-wop sound like that. I mean, listen, that was always her genre too, as far as music goes and stuff. But like, I thought that's kind of where I wanted it.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I mean, I still listen to a lot of that music anyway.
Sure.
It's just kind of like engraved in my head.
Yeah.
But I thought it was, you know what I mean? It was unique, right? Because
sure.
like, you know who I originally thought of? Remember, Rockin' Robbins? Remember that the jewelry people?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I thought that was good. You know what I mean? I was like, because you can't put something out there where nobody's going to remember. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You got to stand out. You only got 30 seconds or whatever it is to do that.
And you know, it's funny in business, especially in my end. You know, I do see stuff like guys and other companies trying to like replicate what I do, which I never want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even like from our uniforms, like black pants, red shirts, like red hats. You know what I mean? I always want to be different and stand out, even with like our truck designs and everything like that. And I think in small business, everybody should strive for that. Now, obviously, we try to replicate things that we see that are working for other companies. I mean, I'm talking about the big companies, like guys that have 100 trucks on the road. Because like, why would I recreate and start on my own when I could just follow systems that were already implemented? Because they all use the same systems. There was a guy, his name was George Bazil, and this guy was like the guru of like service plumbing and systems in place, from like truck placements to material to procedures to handbooks and stuff like that. So everybody kind of took that on. I ain't going to say they stole it off them, but you know what I mean?
They replicated
it and tweaked it to their own. But like, why wouldn't you? But as far as like custom designs and stuff like that, I mean, I think every company, right,
you need a logo. You got to build your own brand.
Sure.
You got to have your own thing. Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, I'm big on that. Every truck we get wrapped. I just left the shirt place now. I'm always ordering shirts, always ordering hats. You know what I mean?
Nice.
A good friend of mine, Mike Williams, he was like, you go around wearing everybody else's stuff. Why don't you wear your own?
Yeah.
Because I'm always like in Phillies gear or Eagles gear and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Or like
it's funny,
or something like that.
Someone else pointed that out. Another friend of mine who's a business owner was always wearing other people's stuff. And the guy was like, when are you going to advertise your own stuff? You're an unpaid advertiser for all these other companies. You have your own business. You never wear your own shit. When are you going to start wearing your own stuff? And he was like, I never thought of that.
Nah, because we don't. You know what I mean? Unless you're like working or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, so now like I catch myself, like even like my personal truck I drive, I wrap that. I mean, I'll go to Wawa, I'll be pumping gas. Somebody always has, there isn't a person on the earth that has, I got plumbing problems in my own house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody has them. And I mean, like I said, like a lot of stuff, maybe I could just walk through with a conversation with somebody at a gas station or something like that. Because I think most people, they want the truth. I think people are always looking for knowledge. You know what I mean? Why is this happening? What do we need to, remediate the cause or whatever is causing it? You know what I mean? And then finally, like some type of solution. Whether it's me or, you know what I mean? There's jobs that can be done. And listen, I don't have a problem with some stuff because, I know like a lot of times people are like, hey, does anybody know a good handyman? There's a time and a place for all that stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
There just is. Now, some of the other stuff, you need to leave it to a professional.
Yeah.
Whether it's an electrical side, HVAC, or plumbing side.
So how did you get started? Like, were you always entrepreneurial? Was it in your family? Was it in your blood? Or how did you get started on your own?
I would say it was in the blood. My mother ran catering business for years. She was always building businesses and selling businesses. She had recovery houses. She owned two... They were the homeless shelters in Philadelphia. If guys were on the street and stuff like that, and she built programs off of that. So I was always working in family businesses. And my buddy's father, he started a plumbing business, and I worked for him for a significant amount of time. And I went through school, the Master Plumbers Association of the City of Philadelphia. I went on to get my Master Plumbing license, and from there, just started building.
Nice.
And
how long have you officially been Daniels Plumbing in business? How long has that been?
Well, I've been Daniels Contracting in Philadelphia since 2002, 2003. And then when I got my master's, I mean, I still hung it under the same umbrella. If doing business in the city of Philadelphia to make all them changes to EIN numbers and all that stuff. I was like, this is like, because I remember going down there, I'm like, okay, well, I want to be Daniels Plumbing and Heating, Daniels Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. And it was just like too many hurdles. So I kept it under Daniels Contracting in Philadelphia, and I just had my Master Plumbing license on it and anything else. You know what I mean? It was just easier to do it that way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people understand, like, are you a contractor? I'm like, well, we're plumbing contractors. So I kind of can... Because anytime I've ever hear like, hey, Joe's contracting, I don't immediately think plumbing or electric or anything like that. You know what I mean? It just doesn't have that sound,
Yep. Now, this advertising campaign that you were talking about with the doo-wop song, was that your first advertising campaign, or were you doing other things and you kind of have...
On the radio?
Yeah.
I mean, on the radio, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, most of the other things we're doing is all legwork.
Yeah.
Right? Me, like, coming in, hey, how are you? Or, you know what I mean? Or me on social media pumping.
Hustling.
Just, like, hustling. I mean, I get home, like, we're at the door 6 o'clock in the morning, get home 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, 5th, 6th inning of the Phils. My wife's telling me about the day, and I'm doing on my phone?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just putting stuff out, man. Putting stuff out. It's like fishing. You know what I mean? It's just the more that we put out,
What type of social media do you do? Are you strictly a Facebook guy?
Me personally?
You personally.
I'm like really not tech savvy. So like that's like the only, because I know like the kids are on TikTok and stuff, and we work with some computer guys, and they're trying to slowly integrate for me to be able to do some of that stuff. Because like Facebook's like, I think they made it for a guy like me because it's pretty simple to use.
100%.
You know what I mean? And anytime I'm on jobs, you'll see me like every day I try to record what I'm doing, where I'm at, make some videos, stuff like that.
Content is king, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
You know what I mean?
But you're not like a TikTok.
No, I would do it if somebody taught me, and if I maybe had the time, maybe in the near future.
It's crazy. Do you have young kids?
Yeah, my daughter's always dancing with her phone and stuff with the cat.
Is she a TikTok?
I believe so.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's better. I don't know what's on there. You know what I mean? I don't go on there.
I hired my 17-year-old to do my TikTok because I don't get it. It's like one of those things. It's like, all the new stuff that the kids like that my grandparents used to tell me not to do, whatever. They didn't understand heavy metal, and I don't understand TikTok, Like, I don't get it. But I know it's important. It's one of those things like cardio. I know I should be doing it all the time, but I know it's important. But then how do you execute it? And how do you fit it in the time of the day?
I mean, I don't know how. I'm sure anybody that runs a business, and I always tell people, you earn every dollar you make because this thing owns us.
Yeah.
I didn't even took a vacation this year. It's like my first. I got another building going up in Upper Southampton. If you've seen us renovating it.
Okay.
So we bought it in December, and by the time the smoke cleared with the plans and everything like that, I was already into the summer.
It's crazy in Philly too, man. There's so much red tape. It's different.
Well, this is Upper Southampton. This was outside. This was in Bucks County off of Street Road.
Okay.
Philadelphia, I mean, I've lived there my whole life. I've worked there, so maybe I'm just used to it. But I mean, I think we can maneuver around pretty well.
Yeah.
And I usually try to help people because I'll see guys even like, guys flipping houses and stuff as far as like what they need. You know what I mean? I'm like, listen, you don't want to come here and they'll put a red tag, cease and desist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On your door. I mean, I'll tell guys where, they may get like a violation or something like that on like the plumbing end. I'm like, you got electricians and stuff in here working. You're going to have to pull permits on everything. I said, we think the guy's going to walk past all them wires that just got put in and say, well, they were there before.
We were talking about my old office there, and when I was there, my landlord was having trouble with L&I and all the stuff from like 3 owners ago. Mm-hmm. It was stuff that he inherited from the person that they inherited from, and they're like, oh yeah, well now you're making alterations, so we're going to look at 1987 if you use the right type of. You didn't use this, you use copper, blah blah blah. It's crazy, but in the suburb area, we don't ever run into that stuff. It's like, for you, that's your business. You have to know that. You know what I mean? Like, you deal with that every day.
One good tool, I don't know if you're out in Philadelphia and you guys are working there or building there, or whatever you guys are doing, the 311 app.
Okay.
You can look up any property. And when you look up that property, it will tell you any license, you know what I mean? Any permit ever pulled, any work ever done, like a whole list of it. I'm talking about if they got hit with clip for weeds growing out back.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a lot of times I'll go to properties because sometimes you just don't get the truth from people, okay? From contractors or whoever we may be working for. Because, I mean, there's a lot of instances, and I ran into 2 this week. They came in, they were rehabbing a house, no permits, they get violated. Now, at that point, we step into a property, and there's already been plumbing work done, right? Now let's just assume that, you hired me and you say, Dan, because you never know, right? You didn't know anything, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't know nothing, right? So I come in there and I'm looking around and, there's, some pipe work done in the basement and a water heater and also, and then me and you sit down and talk because there's a decision to be made.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at that point, you're 80% as far as you're concerned done with that project, at least with that plumbing. You got 20 more percent to go like, oh, well, I guess I run a drain line to the kitchen and some other stuff and through the roof. And I'm like, well, am I taking like precedent over this unlicensed plumber's work?
Right,
because people will leave you hanging.
Yeah,
okay, so at that point, if I was
fix the mess
20 years ago, but I had to learn all these lessons. You know what I mean? Like, no problem. We'll finish the 20%, and you sell the house. 6 months come down the line. Mrs. Jones is on the phone, and there's a lawyer on the phone. It's like, there was a pipe burst, in the second floor bathroom. And I'm like, well, wait a second here. I just replaced the kitchen line, what was left, and I did some work in the basement. That was already done. Well, your permit's on the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I've had them conversations with contractors. I'm like, listen to me, man. Like, my opinion, I rip it out and we start over again.
Yeah, you do it right or you don't do it at all.
You know what I'm saying? Because I can't, listen, or we got to go through, we got to test everything. I got to do water tests, test the water, supply lines, and then we're meeting everything that is code.
Yeah.
Because in the end, all they see is that permit.
Sure.
I mean, I know guys that had got sued for stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a guy that somebody dug up a property illegally. They did some work in there, and he got violated, no permit. The guy the next day goes out, sells the job, says, hey, here's what's going to cost. We'll get the permit and everything like that. Okay, so he gets the permit, say, on a Tuesday. It's already been dug up. There's just dirt there. He has to redig it. Somebody, like, trips the night. The night he got that permit, he didn't even do any work. There was just dirt on the ground, you know what I mean, from the previous contractor. And they sued him. Yeah. They sued anybody. You know what I mean? He was like, wait a second here. I just got the permit. I didn't even dig that yet. So it's... I ain't going to say we pick and choose who we work for, but I try to work for people of my same mindset. You know what I mean? They want things done one right. You know what I mean? And we're somewhere we can meet in the middle. Okay, there has to be. You got to be able to make some money, and I got to be able to make some money. And the end result is, I want to do business again. You want to do more business again, right? You know what I mean? So it's just like I never look at one job as like, adios. I'll never see you again. I want you to tell your sister, your cousin, anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's how you really build business. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people, especially in my industry, in the real estate, house flipping, all this other stuff, where they look at one transaction, they want to maximize profits on one transaction, and they don't realize that the way you really maximize profits is to turn that one transaction into 15 transactions. Wow everybody, give them top-notch customer service, and they're going to tell everybody that they know that you're awesome. It's going to go the other way around. If you suck or you make a mistake and you crush somebody, they're going to tell all their friends. Like, it ain't a secret.
They won't be able to get out of their mouth quick enough.
Yelp and all these other places, they're like, blah, 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 he gave me, he screwed me, you know, like, so you got to do it the right way. There's no shortcuts.
No, there's no shortcuts. I mean, like I said, you know, we do a lot of the Google review stuff. I mean, that's big. I mean, we talk to Google themselves. That 97.5, they heard the thing. We were working with Beasley Media Group. You know, they talk to us like once a week as far as what they want us to do, as far as interactions and Google reviews and stuff like that. Yeah. Because I never used to look at any of that stuff.
Nah.
I would say, hey, man, you know where I can get a good steak at in Voorhees? Like, yeah, go over to Charlie's. You know what I mean? Ask for so-and-so. Like, okay, that was just gold.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now it's
everybody goes on the internet to find
everybody goes on the internet. Yeah. I had a kid with me yesterday. We were doing some training in a new sales guy, and I was looking at some real estate offices and stuff like that. So we were like in Doylestown. I was doing a job out there. So anytime I go out there, it's like, all right, let's hit a couple places. We're out here, right? And I'll just stop in. I know it's like kind of unorthodox, and I can kind of get the vibe when I meet you.
Sure.
Whether come in or not. Like, hey, how are you? I was in the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is the manager in here by any chance? I hate to, you know what I mean? Come in, you know, unannounced and stuff like that. But I was like, yo, give me 5 addresses. So, like, I'm driving to the job, and he's, like, Google reviewing them. He's like, hey, you know this guy, Joe Smith? He's like, you know, the president of the Bucks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stuff I would never even read. He's like, man, his Google reviews are good and everything. I'm like, I'm knocking the door. I'll feel it out when I get there. You know what I mean? So it's, the youth, you know what I mean, with their different ideas and stuff like that, I welcome it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have to. Why leave any stones unturned, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
If not, you're just shorting yourself. You know what I mean? Like, somebody's going to do it. If it ain't you, it's going to be the other plumbing company around that's going to do it, and they're going to take advantage of everything. So, I mean, it's tough because no one likes to change, and everyone's kind of, not everyone, but a lot of people are set in their ways, and you get comfortable doing something a certain way. But if you don't change and evolve, someone else does.
Listen.
You know what I mean? There was the number one stagecoach business was great for a while, and then the engine came along and they didn't evolve, so now there ain't no stagecoaches anymore. If you don't evolve, you're
imagine. And this probably, because I thought about this, I was like 25, 30 years ago, Sears and Roebuck, you know, they're having a board meeting, they bring a young kid and like, listen, you know, maybe we should start delivering stuff to people's doors. And Sears like, what, are you crazy?
Yeah.
We're Sears. They come to us.
Yeah.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Sleep and watch what happens. Because this world will go right by you, you know?
Yeah. Crazy. Daniel, thank you so
Jim,
much for
it's a pleasure having me. Appreciate it.
Real quick before you go, if someone's watching this and they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you? What's the quickest way to
I'll always answer my cell phone. I'm up at 5:30 in the morning. I go to bed at 9:30. So 267-236-2462. Office number is 267-650-3418. And you can find us on danielsplumbing.net.
Yep. And if you see him, sing the song to him. We'll be right back with the next guest of Mr. Mortgage's Neighborhood.